Hi, I'm live. I'm in a horrendous setting. My house is filled with furniture that's going to be staged around the house, and I'm sorry about the mess you see behind me, but it is what is going on. So I'm a little behind on what needs to be done, but getting there little by little. And I thought I had a banner to put up. There we go. I don't know what's happening with Larry's PayPal account, so there are a couple other ways to donate without using his. We can still use PayPal, but we have to use a different PayPal. And so if you want to send something, make sure you text me, and I'll walk you through what to do. I had a text message today from somebody in India wanting to donate. I don't know if they managed to do it or not. But I was able to give them an alternate PayPal account to send the money to. Thanks, folks. I'm waiting for Elly. I did send her the link, and I'm just nervous since she's not here that I sent her the wrong one. But no, I sent her the right one. Looks like I did. So did Bill Barr testify before Congress today? I was watching something just before the show from Congress Times was the name of the channel, and it was an interview with Barr, and I don't know if it was current today. It was posted today, so I don't know if he interviewed this morning or if he was interviewed, if they were playing something from his earlier interview talking about the Mueller report. And of course, you know, they throw the book at him for. Did you see Nancy Pelosi's press conference where she's complaining he is not supposed to be the AG for Trump. He's the AG for the United States, the country. It's like, my goodness, Eric Holder and Trump were in cahoots, plotting all kinds of evil together. You know, with Fast and Furious and who knows what else. My goodness. Hi, everybody. I'm waiting for Elly to join us. I'm feeling a little stressed. No, today is Monday, Karen. And there's Elly. Give me a sec to click, and here she comes. There she is.
We're wearing the same color.
I'm in bright red.
I'm in bright red.
It doesn't show red on my screen.
Oh, what kind of pink or something?
No, I'm in bright crimson red.
Oh, okay.
Apart from the white paint in my hair and on the side, and I'm not covered in paint today. I'm actually in a sweater. I stopped painting to do some more packing, and I've been a little shocked at how much still needs to be done. But Pelosi for prison, banner over San Francisco. Boy, that makes me want to jump up and down and shout. That sounds totally appropriate. We got total feedback from your computer, Elly.
Huh?
I've got feedback coming. I hear myself on your something.
Okay. We got feedback.
Oh, it's not me. It's
How's that? Sometimes my sound's up too loud, but then I got to really listen to you.
Sorry about that. Yeah, that's, you know, this is looking like quite an interesting election cycle. But I have to tell you, after what I said on Friday, not what I said, after the questions I asked about Hillary on Friday, I was okay all weekend. And about half an hour ago, I started to feel really scared and stressed. And I've been thinking about Hillary not running as long as Larry's alive. And the fact that we don't hear anything I'm going to have to take it back to prayer because we have to believe that he's not done yet. But, if Hillary thinks that she can't run as long as Larry's alive because she knows how successful Larry will be, she always hated him. And yet she taught him a lot. And he had to work with her and work with her and work for her. And, Elly told us Friday, I think it was, when somebody was asking about Vince Foster, and I mentioned the fact that Larry says in the book here that shortly before he finished with them, he realized they were shredding a lot of paperwork at the Rose Law Firm that really was illegal to be shredding. And so
shredding and bleaching, and not bleaching, they were smashing phones. Well, what I heard from a friend of mine that worked for the State Department, that when the FBI went in, they were shredding, for one thing. They were burning paper. They were smashing phones and answering machines. And because you got to remember, back then it wasn't all cell phones, a whole bunch. And they had to kick them all out of the office. They had to make them all stand out in the parking lot because they wouldn't quit. They just kept grabbing papers and ripping and shredding and burning and like frantic, real frantic. So there was something there. So
yeah, so Larry was making copies of what was ready to be shredded. So he had a lot of that information, and I believe there's a lot of other things that he has been given. So, it's hard to know. And, Larry had told us that watch what Barr does with McCabe to know whose side he's on. But I did hear, I think it might have been X22 Report, who does some pretty good journalism. I think that's who it was I was listening to over the weekend. And James had sent it to me, but it had come up on my screen about the time he sent it. And he was saying that letting McCabe off for some of the more minor things because he's already rolled is throwing a bone to the Democrats to get them. There's so much in government that's information and disinformation and misinformation and, purposely misdirecting and redirecting and keeping your eyes off where you should be looking. Speaking of that, Larry says, yes, pay attention to what the media is all about. But when they're going on and on and on about something, that's not the real story. The real danger is what they are not telling you. So that's when you're looking. MW, if that is, when was Hillary on with Ellen's show saying she's not going to run for vice president? I mean, it's hard to believe that she would be willing to take a second space unless she has I'll call it a prenup, an agreement that whoever she's running as second fiddle to is going to step aside right away.
I would fear for Bloomberg if she ran vice president, because she would Arkansas him. She would. She wants to be president. She won't settle for a VP.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. The only way she would settle for VP if there was and let the president live is if they could, like with Biden.
Biden be easy to kill off.
Well, no, you wouldn't have to kill him off. All you have to do is use Article 25 on him. But I'm not sure what you could do that pretty quickly with his Alzheimer's, or dementia or whatever he's got going on. But Bloomberg is still, he's your typical what are they thinking Democrat. But Edward, please don't say that, because we certainly don't want it to be our friend that we're subbing for. So, but I
don't know. Things are kind of heating up. I got some really good news yesterday, and then I kind of doubted it because the what was it, 1,100 U.S. Judges signed that petition against Barr, so I kind of got worried. But then when I heard over the weekend, it came over Fox today, and so I got all excited. You want to hear about it?
I do. Go for it.
Oh, my goodness. The DOJ investigates the investigators. 5 internal probes underway. Russia and more is what it said. Now if I get my screen to go up. Okay. They're going to look into Michael Flynn. Another investigation. They're going after not only the Ukraine on Mueller investigation, but the Ukraine on this, when they tried to impeach him, Durham probe into the origins of the Russia investigation. The Clinton Foundation is going to be under investigation, and so is Uranium One. The FISA warrant for the Clinton server, for the document release. It hasn't been turned over, and they're going to start running investigations on that one. So guess what? It's going. He has pulled in U.S. prosecutors from all over the United States to start more investigations and possibly indictments. So I heard indictments. Because usually when you get U.S. prosecutors, and there's, I think, like 5 different states that he's put in, that Barr has put in charge, and is going to start turning the information over to them. So this sounds awesome. You know, at least we're hearing something now. Before it was, we were waiting on the Durham report, and you know, I was just, you know, they said this March, and it's like boom, now, you know, they're sending out these certain investigations. What got me was not only just the Clinton Foundation, but the Uranium One Foundation and Uranium One, from what the article says. So I was like doing the happy dance, you know. I do a little bit of the hula and woo, woo, woo. Mary Ellen, I got a good one for you. Right before my show, I look out my window, and the neighbor's cat was sitting on my barbecue. Cat's in the kettle, you know. It wants to be roasted. You want some cat?
I used to love cats, but then I realized that I was allergic to them, and my life took
But of all places for the cat to sit, there's a garbage can right there. And then there's like this swing my neighbor has. And then my barbecue. And it sits on the barbecue.
Well, maybe it's warm because it's dark color. So Pam's asking a question that I need you to handle. Why hasn't the Senate subpoenaed transcript 18, the ICIG's testimony?
Okay, why hasn't the Senate subpoenaed transcript 18?
Now, what is IC? IG is Inspector General. What's IG?
What it is transcript 18 was when Schiff was doing the underground in the basement, dungeon, private, no one could get in. And the 18th witness they had was Atkinson. And Atkinson was working with Vinderman and the whistleblower on the complaints. And Tom Fenton is the only one I know of so far that has requested the transcript for that. I do not believe it is classified. I don't think he classified it because he didn't say he did. Because you know Schiff, if it was, you know, ha ha ha, you can't get it, he would have said it was classified during the impeachment trial. So either Barr has got a hold of it. And if Barr grabbed it and there's an investigation going on, nobody's going to see it for a while. And that we'll find out through Tom Fenton. So, see, I'm waiting on it too. So, Pam, I'm on pins and needles waiting on Fenton. And so keep an eye on Judicial Watch, because he'll definitely let you know. And I love posting his on our news page of all the new stuff that comes out and his Friday reports. So I'm hoping that if it doesn't come out in the Durham report, or he doesn't say anything about it, that Tom Fenton will get it, or we'll hear something on it. You know, I might try to look again and see if maybe it's sitting there with the rest of them and they just haven't, you know, it's just not out there. Because sometimes you can get a hold of it and it'll be available, just no one went through the Freedom of Information Act to get it. But with Fenton fighting for it, I think they just don't want to let it out. Because I think once it comes out and you find out what Atkinson actually testified to, I think he admitted some stuff he shouldn't have on how the Ukraine call and how it was twisted up. I really do think that's what's going to happen. And then trusting Barr, you know, I'm kind of, I know how you feel there, Diane. But the thing I fall back on is in 89 to 92, Barr was Attorney General, and he did a very, very good job. And he helped Bush out a lot. Then the Clintons went in office, and they, for some reason, decided to transfer him into doing contracts. And I know this because does everybody remember Ruby Ridge? Well, Barr was kind of in charge of that, and I was hearing rumors that he went ahead and let them FBI guys shoot the mom. And so I got really worried on him about that. And so I looked into it. I looked into the Ruby Ridge documents, and there's nothing in there about Barr. So then I went looking again and found out they kind of moved him over to like Europe to work on contracts and foreign affairs. So the Clintons moved him out. And then once, I guess he finished up in 92 of what he was doing, he went ahead and resigned. He didn't want, you know, so he didn't want to be a part of the Clintons. The good thing about that is he worked with the Clintons and he knows what they were doing. And I think that's why he's back. Now, he's going to treat Trump just as equal as anybody else. And if he finds something on Trump, you know, we're all going to have to really deal with that because he's that type of person. And I think he is, I would call him like a good police officer. And the work I've seen him do before for the Bushes, and then that little bit for the Clintons, and then what he's been able to do now, I think he's gonna be okay. You know, we might not be totally satisfied, but when he brought in Durham and he kept Whitaker, and Whitaker's keeping his eye on Weissman and Ray and what's going on in the State Department and DOJ, because Whitaker's just quick as a whip. He is smart, and I think that's why things they're rolling slowly, but I think the reason they're still rolling is because of Whitaker in that spot. So he did good. And I think even Jeff Sessions is putting his little feedback in there too, because he keeps coming up in the news. And when you read the articles, it's almost like he's kind of helping, but, you know, he's not going to admit to it. So,
well, he's trying to run for office again, and he wants to be in the news.
And you got to realize, you know, when they let McCabe go, um, it could be like Rosenstein, okay? He didn't, Rosenstein didn't get much, okay? But they're squealers. They're known squealers. And, you know, there's a good possibility they said, you know, we'll let you off on this crime, but there's all these other crimes now. Now, if you want to work with us, you know, then we'll let you off on this one instead of adding it to the rest. And I just get the feeling that's, you know, kind of what they're doing, because we don't hear from Rosenstein no more. He was out in the public and he was just yelling and, you know, how unfair, and just like Clapper and Brennan, but then he got quiet. He got real quiet. And then we found out they weren't going to charge him. And same way with McCabe. He got on and was blabbing his little mouth for a while. Then he got real quiet. Now he's slowly coming out, you know. And where's Bolton? Bolton got real quiet when he got talked to.
Where are the protesters? I've been thinking about them recently. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that, and you know, see, it wasn't just the FISA reports that McCabe was stuck on. There was other crimes that was going on that they had done against Trump and the administration. I mean, they were looking into his kids. Even at some of the investigations, like the Trump Tower meeting, that's a whole different investigation. I mean, since they did it all, like, and then like Papadopoulos, I believe Rosenstein and McCabe might have been a part of that. And, you know, I don't know if anybody heard of Miss Food, but he ended up dead. You know, here we were waiting on, I've been saying, where's Miss Food for at least 2 years now. And his lawyer
he was the contact in Malta, wasn't he?
He was in the Mueller report. He was part of the Trump Tower meeting. He was part of Papadopoulos. And there was one other one that a meeting they were trying to get together that never happened. And he was there too. And he was one of the witnesses for Mueller. And then boom, he's dead. They were working with his lawyer and then he died. And it's all they said is he passed away. It didn't say what he passed away with. It just said he was gone. And oh, I looked and looked because it happened over in Italy. And I'm thinking maybe Malta. And he was in his 50s. He wasn't old. And, you know, he was going to be one of their main witnesses for all those different investigations they did, or all the setups they tried to do. So, you know, I thought they were going to, you know, he was going to disappear, and he did. And then I figured, well, you know, Arkansas, and then his lawyer came forward and said that they were working with the State Department and Barr on, you know, what they knew, and then he was dead. And then, of course, the media's not on it. Nobody. I happened to see it through when I was looking at Reuters one morning, and it was like, whoa. And then I waited for, you know, Fox News or somebody to say something. Nobody did. And I was really surprised because I assumed that even Dan Bongino might say something, and he didn't. So I don't know if anybody has realized he's dead, but everybody quit talking about him. So, you know, I like the news that he's gonna do all these different investigations. And I think they have been. I think they're pretty much getting ready to start turning things over, because they have been working on this since the Mueller report came out. And the Mueller, when he was given all that paperwork, see, they're starting again. When he was given all that paperwork, it was known that they had nothing. And, you know, he went on with it anyway, and then hired 17 of Hillary's lawyers and 40 investigators for himself. And they didn't find a thing on Trump. That's why, you know, when Nancy and Schiff come out and say, "Oh, we're digging up." Well, if there was something to dig, Mueller and 40 creeps and 17 the Clinton creeps didn't find a thing on him. They didn't. So, that's why I think they went with the phone call to try to get him. And now they're going to go after him for this Barr thing, that him and Barr are colluding. And then this morning, and this was the other good news, is when Barr had pulled out his notes and his phone calls and his exchanges with everybody, it showed that he had made the decision on talking, mentioning to the judge that 7-9 was unfair. After that, Trump came out with his tweet. Then right after that, Barr came out with his for him, or he wasn't a tweet. He came out and said, he needed to calm down. So they just had their whole next impeachment blow up just on documents and facts. And, so now those 1,100 judges that signed that petition, it's, once again, Adam Schiff and probably Nadler stretched the truth just a little bit to get these judges to sign this petition. Now, what I thought was funny, Mary Ellen, is they throw it in. CNN and MSNBC is going to sign that petition. Ooh, they made it sound so scary. It's like CNN's a wash-up, and MSNBC's got Rachel Madcow on there, and they're just not believable. I mean, I wouldn't want them even at my funeral. They're just, oh my gosh. That has got to be the worst. They're not news. They're not journalists. They are entertainers of rumors.
I remember one reason they keep that they demote them and keep them, just reassign them to a new position, is when they're doing a lot of this investigating, there are rules on who you can investigate. And Barr and the IG could investigate people inside the department or inside government, but once they leave, they're off limits. So they've had to, they had to keep some of those people on longer than they would have liked.
Mm-hmm. More than likely. What got me was when I read the report on when Mueller finished his investigation, and they said they were having it checked and it would be a few days. And it was like they named the day. And that day, all 17 of Hillary's lawyer investigators walked out of the office. And it's hard to find them now. But, the 40 stayed, but those 17 vacated and cleaned out their desks, and there wasn't even a scrap of gum wrapper with them even being there. They were gone, disappeared.
They actually cleaned?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm surprised they didn't steal the desk. You know how Hillary is. All the things that she has stolen. And, when they loaded up those DOJ planes here, and they were doing box after box of paperwork, it looked like. And this is what the witness said, because he was the one that took the pictures. And then he was like tweeting, "Oh my God, there's furniture. There's like antique furniture." She stole furniture from somebody. I'm probably the White House. She stole Martha White's dishes and said that she had, or Martha Washington's china when they left. And a lot of other stuff, because she lived there, she thought it was hers. And she did the same thing to the governor's mansion. So when they were loading up furniture, it just blew all of us away, because we were like, yeah, finally everybody gets their antiques back. But, I would really like to know what it was she took this time. Because he was saying like tables that look real antique, and lamps and couches and sitting chairs, old sitting chairs, he said. and looked like boxes of dishes. So she might have got more dishes. I bet she took Lincoln's dishes. You know, if she took Washington's, you know, she'd want Lincoln's. And weren't they the ones that was renting out the bedrooms to everybody?
The
Yeah,
Lincoln bedroom.
yeah. You know, if Trump did that, you know what they would do? Oh my goodness, they would be having. They would definitely be on the ground in seizures over Trump renting out the Lincoln bedroom. You know, everything he does, and then they'll claim, well, they had a good reason for that one. They needed the money. Remember, they left broke. That's the one that got me, was when they said they left broke. It was like, oh no, you didn't. You guys had zillions in your pockets when you left. You know, that's just, they're so creepy. They stole the White House silverware and had to give it back. Total law. Yeah. And they, like I said, James and they took Washington, the china, the whole set of china, and they had to give it back. And she was, oh, and then not to mention the pranks that they did. When they left office, they glued the drawers shut on the desks for a lot of the workers that came in. They stole like all the oh goodness, like the mouse for the computers, the early computers back then. They nailed certain things shut. They took all the pins, and they just took a whole bunch. They did a lot of little pranks, and I'll have to look them all up and read them out one time so you guys could hear what they did. And it was, you know, like took all the bulbs out of the lamps, and they just did stuff like that.
Just so petty.
Isn't it childish? You know, you're cold.
I've got the fire going, but all this tall furniture is blocking it. So
Yeah, they took the W's off the keyboard. See, Chris knows about this. Yeah, they took all the W's off the keyboards. Just petty stuff like that. I mean, there was a big old long list of everything they had done. And I read through it and I was like, you know, that sounds like, you know, when someone's going to take over your sorority house that you don't like, you know, and, you know, take all the sheets and blankets and light bulbs and W's and leave them with nothing. So they're just, like I said, they're creepy. They're really creepy people. And you know, I'm so glad Larry got away from them, Mary Ellen. I'm really glad. You know, when I got to know him after he was all done with that, but you know, I always imagine what would have happened if he would have stayed with them. Would he be so corrupt, or would, you know, he might even have the head anchor spot for Face the Nation. You never know where he could have went, but at the same time, you know, he would be bought and paid for, and he would have to do as they said, no matter what. And I'm just truly glad that the Lord spoke to him and he got away. And, you know, and if it wasn't for him, I don't think we would know the corruption that they did. I mean, a lot of the head people here that were fed up, that got, like the women that were raped, and a lot of, like Larry and the chief of police and some of the state troopers and Linda Ives, of course. You know, we have to give them thanks for, you know, coming forward and keeping it going. And a lot, you know, like the state troopers, you know, last time I was able to speak to one, I said, why aren't you still yelling? And he goes, nobody wants to hear the story anymore. You know, the media says it's 30, 40 years old and they're on to what they do now. And I said, no, you keep keep going. You keep going and you keep telling people what they did, because the media will lose it. And, you know, we'll never hear what Larry Nichols did for everybody, or the state troopers. And, you know, there was, I think, 5 of them, and only 2 of them were really anything. And they're scared, though. I mean, you could see the fear. And the only reason why I met this one was the church I go to, we have an FBI guy there. And the FBI guy is friends with one of them. And he happened to invite him to one of we had like movie night. And I would decorate and do movie night. And I would, you know, bring in balloons and all that for him. And I happened to be able to meet him and talk to him, and have kept in touch since. And he's really scared. He is really, really scared. And he says every time that he speaks in public, that he feels like he's being followed. And then the phone calls start. Then his kids start saying that men are talking to him, and before and after school. And, you know, like you said, they go after the family. You know, the family's the easiest thing to get, because, you know, they can get to you and you would expect it. But when it's your kids, you know, like even my grandson, you know, I tell him, don't talk to no adults. You know, and if it looks like there's an adult that wants to talk to you, get back on the bus. I said, don't get off that bus. You insist. I said, tell them you're not getting off. And I said, just go to the back of the bus and just stay there until one of us comes and gets you off the bus. I said, have a meltdown. You know, I said, but don't let go. Don't let go of nothing. Hold on to the seats or something, but don't let them pull you off that bus. You know, because I'm always worried. And he would be the easiest one to get to at the moment. My granddaughter is, you know, pretty much secure where she's at, but my grandson really worries me. And, but, you know, that's what they do. They go after the kids. And so many times, you know, you even heard from like Kathleen Willey. Dolly even said that they were going after her family. Terry Reed, that one was just, oh my goodness, they were going to hurt little kids. These kids weren't but maybe 1 and 3 years old, and they were going to kill them. They just didn't care. And that's the story that got me. He was one of the pilots, Mary Ellen, for the Barry Seal. And then when Barry Seal had left, or, you know, had died, then they moved the airport. And then they were having Terry Reed go to Mexico to set up this warehouse. And he thought they were going to help him out. But as it ends up, they wanted him to store the cocaine in these warehouses, and he weren't giving it to him to work. And this is how I linked up the Clintons with the cartel, because it was through the cartel they were doing this. But Terry Reed and his wife said, no, we don't want no part of it. And first they said you could just go ahead and go. And then they sent the FBI and said they were terrorists. They had guns. They were going to hurt people. They were a national security threat. And it was him, his wife. And then by the time they ran, they had a baby. So like an 8-9-month-old baby, a 2-year-old little kid, and like a 3-year-old little boy. And they called them all terrorists. And he finally turned himself in. And I don't think he did very much time, but that just shows you they don't care if it's a baby or a 3-year-old or, you know, teenagers, old people. You know, if it's a threat to expose the Clintons, you know, they're gone. They're just gone. So, and thank goodness Larry Nichols has dodged the bullets a few times. You know,
many. Yeah, I've told you guys before, when I met him and he pulled up his chest after we'd been signing books for several hours, he stood up and he lifted his shirt up, and it took me, I was so shocked at what I saw all over his chest. And it took me 3 months to work up the courage to ask him, when you lifted your shirt, were you showing me gunshot wounds on your chest? I can't imagine how much shrapnel he has in his ribs, and it just, yeah.
Yeah, Lori, you're right. That was on Fox News this morning on the meeting on the tarmac with Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch. And he said there was a lot more to it. See, because, like that when we got the planes here, when the DOJ planes, there's people out there that if they see someone famous, those phones come out. And, the phones with their their videos is what's going to start taking these people down, because they're even saying, oh, we don't use private jets. We fly on airliners. And then we're catching them getting off their private jets. I mean, why lie? But, they passed that stupid bill in Congress that said that Congress and Senate are allowed to lie. So they can fib as much as they want to us, and there's nothing we can do about it. And there's nothing the law can do about what they say. And that's why Adam Schiff gets away with what he does. He's just allowed to lie. And, they lied. Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch both lied.
Please, please, please remember, and I know most of the people I'm seeing in the chat are here on a regular basis, so you know this, but never forget and remind people, tell other people that they lie and they can get away with the lies. And when you listen to what they're saying, when they're accusing somebody else, they are telling you what they have done. That is one of Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals. Accuse your opponent of what you have done to get the heat off yourself.
And why they do that, that has got to be the stupidest thing, because now, Barr's smart enough that when they spew their stuff and their lies, he just goes, okay, now I know what you're doing.
Exactly. We finally have somebody who pays attention.
And, my newest investigation is Adam Schiff, and I'm reading WikiLeaks on it. And, I went over a lot of the newer ones that they had, and he was talking to Pakistan. And then I was trying to figure out who the guy was, ran the guy's name through, and he was part of a oil and gas company that is very lucrative in Pakistan. So I think that was their next target for resources. I really do.
We're gonna help Pakistan, and we'll get on all their oil board. Oh my goodness!
But they have a way. They get Soros with them and stuff, and it's kind of like when I was talking about the Clinton crimes and how they go in and they start the protests. That with Soros and his thugs, like Antifa. But they're, in other countries, and then they, of course, start firing on their people. Then they put their oligarch in charge. And then through the oligarch, they have all the thugs, like in Africa, is a good example. And then you've got this gang of war terrorists, like ISIS, Buku. Some of them are just African rebels. They have them protected. They buy out the companies, or they'll use our tax money to dig and find the resources. This is a good one they always do. They use our tax dollars to find the oil and the gas. And then once they find it, then, of course, the people are in need because of the rebel soldiers. So they bring in U.S. aid. And U.S. aid is also our tax money. So then these thugs get the aid, they get our tax money, they find the oil, and then they put people like Hunter Biden on the board. And that they do that. And there's they do 5 to 10 people on the board, and they all make millions. and they promise the people that these resources will be for them too, but there's nothing going for the people. And this is a well-known thing that the Clintons have been doing for many, many years. And, you know, so when I seen that with Schiff, it's the first thing I thought of. Oh, yeah, you know, we start seeing uprising in Pakistan now. We know why. You know, maybe it's Schiff on this one. So, but I love digging into this stuff and exposing them. My problem is I can't put it on my news channel or my news page because I'll be hit as fake news, even though I know it's a fact. And then I'll see the documents and I know. And then someone like Breitbart will put it out and I'm like, yes, I was right. And then it's like, oh no, it's Breitbart and Facebook won't let me post it.
Oh dear.
So then I have to wait for somebody else. So, you know, news that me and my brother and sister would get, you know, a week before everybody, we can't say nothing. You know, so we use our shows and we say, you know, keep an eye on this. You know.
You know, when we're talking about the kind of things that that you bring up and that Larry has brought up, and folks, you get some good talking points here for sharing the truth, and we do need to be talking to folks and make sure they're aware of what's going on. Mm-hmm. But I heard an interesting message. I was listening to somebody speak this morning and on YouTube, it was, you know, and he was talking about the sheep and the goats. And, you know, the Bible talks about that Jesus is going to be separating the sheep from the goats. The sheep will follow the shepherd. The goats want to wander away and do their own thing, and they don't pay attention. We think of kids as, you know, jumping up and down and how happy little goats look. Yeah, they're cute, but they don't mind. I mean, we raised goats. They just did their own thing. And so he was saying, just like, you know, Saul Alinsky and the rules for radicals and everything, this guy was saying, he mentioned that, but he also said, you know, when you're dealing with the separation between the sheep and the goats, talk to sheep, not sheeple, but it is a good thing. The issue is who are the sheep following? And when you've got sheep that are following a good shepherd, they need to be informed. The goats, you know, God's going to separate them out. Don't waste your time on that.
Mm-hmm. And Soros, you really have to watch, because I had a friend that posted something that she thought was true, and it looked like a actual it was from like the Social Security Department type thing. And when you look at it, when you click on who is running this organization, Open Societies was the first one on there. And the new one they're using, and everybody needs to watch for, is Civil Societies. This is the new one. Instead of Open Societies, now they are starting a new organization called Civil Societies that go into different countries to help the poor people and to get medical or food or U.S. aid. Of course, they're linked to U.S. aid. And that's the big warning flags, is when you see Open Society, U.S. aid, and now it's Civil Societies. So be real careful. When you see an organization, look at who their CEOs or the founder, or, you know, read about and who's part of it and who's on their boards, because you'll start seeing a lot of them say Open Society or Civil Societies. So, you know, we just have to really keep an eye on it. Even some of these organizations, you know, that you want to use as to give money and give aid to other countries. It is, you know, I keep telling you, they only give, you know, 20-25%. But some of these are fake Christian charities. They'll be under that kind of line. And you'll look into it, and they're Soros big time. You know, Open Societies. And, you know, please, people, don't give to those organizations, because, or believe anything that comes out. It looks like a government thing, like a government site. Check it out, because if it's Soros, it's fake. It's fake. And I mean, you all know that he's a horrible guy. So those are just little pointers I look for, you know, when someone says, well, what do you think of this site? And this is what it says. And it's always against Trump. And I'm like, I always open up the about, or their facts, or the people that their board members. And the second I open it up, it's always open societies. I'm like, I go back and tell the person, I said, well, this is what you need to do from now on, because they're lying. They lie so bad, and he's in so much. The media, you know, they said he's even a part of our State Department because of USAID, you know, and it makes you wonder if that's why everything moves so slow, is because if he's got his finger in the State Department, maybe.
Who has his finger in the State Department?
Soros, George Soros.
That's what I thought you said. Yeah. Well, he had an awful lot of connections to quite a few levels.
And I think that's why it slowed down to just a crawl of information. And, you know, so it takes, you know, people like us and Larry Nichols to keep the word going and tell what this man does. I know everything that I post about him gets pulled, and then I get a strike for it. And I've only been able to get one taken away over George Soros, because it was like he had a quote, and it was off of 60 Minutes. And they told me it was fake news. And I was like, I sent the message back, and I said, more than likely, you're probably in your 20s and 30s. And you cannot tell me that you know every single quote this man has said since the 40s, 1940s on, when he was a kid and he watched what Hitler did. And he made many, many quotes in public. I said, unless you know every single quote he's ever said, then you can't give me a strike. And so they did. They took it away. You know, they went ahead and took that one away. But the rest of them, they're not taken away from me. But it's true. He has said horrible things. And that if you guys have not seen the 60-minute interview, it's hard to get, and they take it every time it gets listed. Watch him on 60 Minutes. Because he, like, when he talks about Hitler killing people, he, like, smiles. Or when he talks about different places that there's, like, a massacre, or like a genocide, he gets that little smirk, and it's, man, that's creepy. That man is just evil. And, you know, of course, he's got his nephew and his son willing to move on with the evilness. You know, it's a family affair. So, you know, it's, wow.
Well, before we start another chapter today, we're just about done with time, and I've got to get back to work.
Never socialism, Mary Ellen.
Never socialism. Text me if you're interested in donating. Anybody who donates $50 to Larry will be given a book and a bumper sticker, and Monty's going to buy them. So your $50 donation will be half matched. Now, I want to tell you, another book that Larry wrote is Under Attack: How the Tea Party Can Win and Fight Back and Win. How the Tea Party Can Fight Back and Win. This book is out of print. I was able to get my hands on one, and you can see how I marked it up. I got permission, which is actually right here. I got permission from the publisher who had been the editor with Larry. He was the co-author and editor, and also the publisher. I got his permission to put this out again. rather than selling it, we put it on the website one chapter at a time in the blog. And so if you're interested at all in reading Under Attack, I haven't checked with Barb whether it's still there or not. If it's not, then we'll have to figure something out after I move, and we'll find a way to have you pay $5, and I'll email it to you. So anyhow, that's another book that Larry's done. His Genius is out of the bottle. The Genie is Out of the Bottle was the first book he wrote about the Clintons and things, and that one's out of print, and that one's I have not gotten my hands on that one. Last I looked, it was like $120, and I didn't have that. So anyhow, I'm going to wrap it up. If you can donate anything to Larry, text me and I'll call you back and give you an account of somebody who's right there in Conway, and we can send money to help with whatever needs to be done. I we haven't heard, so I just don't know. But this, with Hillary considering getting in the race, and with what Larry told me he had been told she had said. So this is somebody overheard Hillary, who told Larry, and then Larry told me. So it's quite far removed. But does anybody think it's beyond the realm of possibility? I don't know. It makes me very concerned, because the people who came after him in 2018 were more the MS-13 style gangs, and he had at one point made the comment that if a professional who was far more, I mean, they're definitely well trained, but he said, that if they had sent one of the top dogs after him, chances of survival get very, very slim. And we just have to remember that he has a mission to finish, and I really don't think he has finished his mission yet. I really don't think. I don't think it is. So anyhow, I would appreciate donations on his behalf. Certainly his family's going to need some help if something happens to him. So, we just wait, and we wait to hear, and watch what happens. We will. There's not a whole lot we can do election-wise with the primaries. That's something that you need to get involved in and help as much as you can. Become informed about your candidates, who's running, and help some of them. Find somebody.
The state races big time on mayors and judges, and because they're the ones that are starting to change the laws for the cities.
Yeah, and Thurles' money is going down to the down ballot races. So it really is. It really is. It's important. This race is important, and the primary is really important, because if you're voting for the Republican, you've got to find one that's not an incumbent and one that can beat the Democratic challenger. And the other thing that I found out, a couple of years ago, was with some of the young people who are getting in. There were some young women who were being very brazen in talking about, they were Democrats, but they were going to run on the Republican ticket so that they could actually get get a rhino or get a Democrat into office. And I suppose after they got in office, they were planning to flip their party alliance. So anyhow,
they wanted to know if there was a conference call.
Yeah, we do it as usual. Uh, it'll be short though because I'm obviously very tired. So um, that's it for today. I've got to stop. I've got too much work to do, and I'm going to be working until the conference call, and then hopefully I won't fall asleep on you during the call. But I've got to get some sleep too. So thanks, folks, for being here. Thanks for interacting with us. It's fun to interact and have the chat go at a pace that we can read it, and it's nice to be able to just have a conversation, and I'm not so busy trying to take notes and watch the chat and monitor everything and feed questions to Larry. And you can see the chat too, Elly, and that helps a lot. So I can relax, which is
I'm
easier on me.
that's how I do my shows when I do them, and I kind of like it. My viewers are real important to me, and if it's the viewers and it's the voters that make this country. And so I kind of like, even if I get a bunch of people, I would just have someone keep an eye, and probably someone like Karen, and grab questions and try to talk, try to interact with the viewers, because to me that's very important. But Larry, I've said this the other night on my show, Larry has a way of doing stuff, and he likes his show to stick on topic, and he likes to answer all the questions at the end, and he's wonderful for that. And you get me, I come in and I'm just like the Kool-Aid guy breaking through the wall.
Well, as our brains work in a different way. Larry's brain, he is so focused.
Mm-hmm.
That if you interrupt him to ask a question, when he's dictating to me, he knows what he wants to say. But if I don't hear what he says and I say, "Can you say that again?" his train of thought just goes out the window, and it's hard for him to come back.
Yeah.
So
he likes to stick to topics. He's I call old school, and I've told him this. You're old school. How you run everything. And he says, "Yeah, you're all over the place." I said, "Yeah, but I'm all over the place in a good way."
Oh.
So, but see, that's how I've kind of, lured you into the way I do it. And I like talking to everybody here, and, seeing the same people, like Gloria and James and Chris. And there's a bunch of them that come in every day. And I hope I'm not wearing out my welcome, and they'll just keep having me come back in and come crashing in like the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah.
So.
All right, that's it for today. Thanks, folks, for being here. God bless you, and we'll see you tomorrow, same time. Bye.